Hi guys, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel. Okay, 3 guesses as to what we're talking about today on day 15 of the 100-day project. And the first 2 don't count. The first 2 guesses don't count. Okay, wallpaper. Now, I've made a little tower here, a little pyramid of some of the wallpaper borders that I have. I also have wallpaper in, traditional rolls. This one is, I don't know what you can see because I'm trying to clearly talking about wallpaper rolls is going to be easier. I mean, wallpaper borders is going to be easier than trying to juggle, a regular 20 or 21-inch roll of wallpaper. But I just wanted to show you this one because, number one, it's so beautiful. Who doesn't love hydrangeas? I bought this roll at a thrift store, I think probably a year or so ago. And one of the uses of wallpaper, of course, is fussy cutting. And before I show you kind of some of the other wallpapers that I've cut, fussy cut, could we just bow our heads and say a moment of prayer, hoping that the hydrangeas I planted last fall survive the winter. There isn't winter kill. They actually, come back, live, and bloom another day. In Alberta, in my growing zone, depending on the location, is there a little eco-climate, close to the house, trees, shelter, blah, blah, blah. For most things would be considered a growing zone 2, or maybe if you're lucky, a 3, which means that, a lot of things are a challenge. Anyway, let's move on with this. So what I've done, I'll get that roll out of the way. Now, one of the annoying parts about dealing with any of this stuff is how curly it is, because the rolls are tight and some of them have been rolled up for decades. I really love this one because it's matte looking. It's, it's easy enough to cut around. And so basically, just to make the job a little easier, I cut it into sections of things that I thought that I would use. So obviously, something this size, I could even tear for that matter. Why don't I just tear? Fussy tear. So something this size, of course, is going to be easier to handle and easier to store, or even some, selective leaves, or this has a straight edge, so maybe that would be good on the side of a card or an envelope or whatever. So I basically broken down the job into more manageable bite-sized pieces. So I will put that aside. I will show you, okay, maybe I should just move this to, move this to the side so you can see some of the fussy cuts I've done in the past of some of the different rolls. Now what I've done is have it in this sort of heavier weight sleeve because it helps, flatten things out a bit. So you can see how gorgeous, I hope you can see how gorgeous that is. And I even cut out the little white space between the veins, or the stems, I mean. So clearly something this size, a person would need to think a little harder about how and where to use it. But it is really nice to have this kind of pre-done and ready to go. I know, well, I'll show you, where did I put that thing? I'll show you the rolls just to get an idea of what, of how much of this stuff I have. There was a time, of course, I'm old enough to have lived through the wallpaper border craze. This was another, so I can appreciate the artwork and the versatility of some of those designs. I'm glad I'm not, perched up on a stepladder, putting anything up or then stripping it and removing it when styles and taste change. But this is another really pretty one. I hope that I have come across the roll and you can see what it was actually like. I can see that I've cut around the tree line to make the size more usable. So that basically is 7.5 inches tall. I obviously cut around those little birds that are perched on the fence. Here's just a bit of greenery. Here's a little strip of color. Because, of course, we all subscribe to the school of we don't throw anything away. Speaking of subscribing, you know how some people are, hooked on watching the stock markets, I guess the ebb and flow of the market. Well, I've become hooked on watching my subscriber numbers. And I have to say, I am so grateful and so humbled by the fact that my numbers are growing. Hell, I've cracked the 200 subscriber mark. I mean, I'm laughing because that's what I do, but truly and sincerely, you don't know what it means to have the support. I'm at that age where I know the value of time. I think sometimes that message is lost on young people because they feel immortal and, see their lifespan, the decades of life lying before them. But when you reach a certain point in life, you realize that every day is precious and every minute and every hour is precious. So I think we become a little more selective about how we spend those days and moments. I hope my little analogy here isn't making some of you rethink your decision to watch YouTube videos or mine. Anyway, I remember, I didn't intend this tangent, but let's go. At one time, there was basically a talk show. And the hostess of the show was Deanie Petty. And I remember her as clear as yesterday that she had a guest on her show. Don't remember the guy's name, but he must have written a book. And basically, his suggestion was that, and he did this for Deanie, and I don't know how old she would have been at the time, maybe in her 50s. He pulled out a string or yarn or whatever it was, some sort of a fiber, that represented her age in inches. So if she would have been 50, this string would have been 50 inches long. And that was a visual that has stuck with me ever since. Because, screwed up, rewind, blah, blah, blah. The guy cut a piece of string that at that time represented the average Canadian woman's lifespan. I haven't looked into what it is lately, but at one time it used to be maybe about 84 or so. So an 84-inch long piece of string. And then he very ceremoniously lopped off the chunk that represented her age to that date. And I thought, oh my goodness. That's, the piece that's left is not that long. So I of course, did the same thing for myself after that show ended, but it is a good way to put into perspective just how precious time is and, maybe helps us realign our priorities or whatever. Now, hopefully you're not turning off YouTube and running to measure your own piece of string. But in fact, we'll find some value here. And if you haven't already done so, choose to subscribe. Now that the numbers seem to be, increasing a little bit quicker than before, I'm thinking I should start thinking about a landmark, no, not landmark, benchmark number, pick a number, whether it's 500 or I know 1,000 is a big deal to YouTube. I should be picking a number and thinking about how I'm going to celebrate and share the celebration with you guys with, a draw or whatever, or several draws. So anyway, I've talked about that way too long. Just know that your time and attention is appreciated because I value it so much myself. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is show you some of the, I want to show you a couple things. Sometimes, and this is a good example, this is only 3 1/4, a little, not quite 3 1/4. And sometimes the thrift stores like to bundle things in, if they had 4 rolls donated, they're going to bundle them together with an elastic and make you buy all 4. So I had a couple rolls going, so I just re-rolled them and combined them. This is roughly, it's not quite 12 inches long, but I wanted to try something. You know how sometimes you can straighten out curly ribbon by, let's see if I'm doing this right. Okay, that's the way it wants to curl. So let's see if I pull this against the grain, if that helps flatten it out. Now, if the paper was, more fragile, that would be, that helped a little bit. I could also be doing this against the curved edge of my desk, and it would probably be less likely to do it. Okay, that is helping a bit. What I normally do, because of course these pieces aren't much good to anybody just in a roll. So what I normally do is cut them, kind of do batch cutting at my standing desk where I've got more room to spread out. Stretch them out and begin, square off the edge, begin lopping them off at lengths that are more usable. So you're going to get to see some of these that I flattened out, and this process obviously takes some time. Number 1, rolling them out, struggling with the thing that wants to roll back up, cutting them, folding them, flattening them. Sometimes I do that under the cutting mats that I have on my standing desk, just because they're out of the way. There is the weight of the sewing machine on there. It's a nice flat surface, so the pressure is even. I forget about them being there, which means that I'm not sort of like, opening the oven door to see if it's done. Anyway, so let me just show you some of these. Where's my ruler? Because sometimes these borders, okay, this one is 8 inches, so that's pretty good. That would be pretty well perfect as a folio page in a journal. And is it not gorgeous? Beautiful color, scrolly, leafy designs, and of course the greenery. So, I would do, okay, how many do I have here? 3, 6, 9, 10. So if I'm going to go to the trouble of doing this, I'm going to make it worth my while. I'm not going to fart around with, 1 or 2. So these are ready to go. This one, of course, I love paisley. So this one I made longer, and Oh, I see that I've already glued these little side tucks down. Okay, this one is 7 inches high. That's another way to stabilize the ends and to help flatten them out. Now, because I love paisley, I know, I don't know where they are, but I've also fussy cut some of these designs because they would make some pretty gorgeous decorations. We know that in the journaling community or journal making community, most people seem to have a fetish for butterflies. So, of course, I grabbed this roll when I saw it. So this one is 7, and basically I did the same thing, apparently. I glued down side tucks. A couple of those. Now this one, I feel, oh, obviously bent that kind of crooked there. I feel nostalgic about this one because if you're old enough, you may remember when this was kind of a thing out there. There were placemats and there were pillow shams and fabric, and everything was all coordinated. And because I love burgundy and went through a burgundy phase, and had some of the fabric and so on, this one naturally I grabbed onto. I left the edges open. Let's see, so how wide is this? So this is almost, well, it's a little over 6 3/4. So there is obviously room to, the need to fold back and create some tuck spots or pockets, tuck spots. Now the other thing, and it's something I need to remind myself to do, I always, whether it's paper, or in this case, wallpaper borders, what I quite often do is, figure out, okay, 12 inches or 14 inches or 18, whatever the distance is, and then I just automatically fold it in half. Well, that isn't always the best thing to do, because in a case like this, I could have folded this someplace else. That would have become the, where it gets sewn into a journal. And then I have more options with the bigger other side. So I guess what I should start doing from now on is just flattening the pieces and then leaving the fold for later on, at least with some of them. I just had something an idea flitter through my mind as I was talking, but let's hope it comes back, because it did seem kind of, it did seem kind of useful to share. I guess the other thing a person could do here, and I don't think I've done that anywhere, is back these things, to give them a little more oomph. They could clearly become journal covers as well, or signature covers, if nothing else, to sort of differentiate the start of each signature. So there's that. Now this would fall into the juvenile category. Here it is on the roll. So you can see that we have a tractor like this. It's a little chore tractor, and exactly like that, with absolutely no safety features whatsoever. No cab, hardly any fenders to cover the tire. It's surprised nobody's been killed by it. It's a Minneapolis U, and I think circa 1954. So some of these simple things last forever. Anyway, this is what the border itself looks like. And of course, I have done some farm journals and intend to do some more. So fussy cutting those seemed like a good thing to do. Again, I imagine that the fussy cuts are with the with my farm journal stuff. I must have clipped this together at some point to help flatten it out, but let's see what I was doing here. Now these, I guess I was just attempting to flatten them out. All of these that I think I've shown you so far are sort of vinyl-y, which makes them, you know, obviously a little more sturdy. This is another gorgeous paper. Again, botanic, you know, it almost looks like someone would have stamped those images on there. So that's obviously another beaut. This, you can probably tell, has a kind of a sheen to it, a metallic look. I have no idea what this says. Well, let's hope it's something good. And I also don't know if it's, I don't know which is top or bottom here. I would think the little peak thing there is the top. So let's turn these over. But again, you know, earth tones, kind of a classy looking thing. Here's another one that is, again, just more, you know, it's got leaves and scrolly things, and it's, again, green, so that's another useful one. Here's another one that has, can I quickly find the roll? You know, this little tray that I've piled up here does not represent all of them, so let's see. Well, I didn't find that one, but I did talk to you about this one before, so looky there. Gorgeous. So you saw that I kind of fussy cut around the tree line, and anyway, I'll keep going. I imagine I'll come across the roll at some point. But again, so I did several of those. Oh, this one got separated from the others. And we're still talking roughly 7 inches. This one is different. Diane H. would like this because I think she's a strawberry girl. This one has a scalloped edge, and I have a few like that. So you can see that I folded back some tuck spots. But it also means that, you know, I would need to obviously trim that back so that it doesn't look, weird. Weird. This one looks old. Just, I don't know, maybe it's the colorway that is on there. Again, florals. Now any of these images could be isolated to become, and probably, you know, I don't think I would want to take the time to fussy cut around all of that. But a person could certainly tear around it or just box it off and glue it onto a card, a cover, whatever. So, and it's got the text naming the flowers, so that's always a bonus. Now this one is 8.5, and I can't tell, did I cut that? Some of the pieces, oh, that Asian one came packaged like this, so obviously easier to flatten out than the traditional rolls. So did the green one. Okay, this one is this one. So the scallop was factory cut. But again, for somebody like me who loves the rich jewel tones, the scrolly thing, what did I say this was? This is over 8 inches. So it would, 8 3/4. So it would either have to be in a taller journal, or the other kind of sensible thing to do would be to cut the border off, you know, at whatever stripe a person chooses. Say, you know, this line here, and then end up with that really nice border too that could decorate the side of a page or whatever. Okay, these ones that have the scalloped edge obviously are a little more fragile, so. And then this one is also very tall. Let me do, this is probably the, so 9 3/4. But again, a person could cut, you know, along the tree line, or I suppose could cut those, sorry, I'm not paying attention to where I'm holding this. Or a person could also probably, you know, just even this off here. You don't want to cut his legs off, but, you know, get rid of those rocks and maybe cut this down. And or turn those rocks up. Although I suppose that's a bit goofy because the grass is growing upside down now. Anyway, those are design decisions that a person, you know, needs to make once they're into the project. Is this not another gorgeous one that would make a great, here it is on the roll, that would make a great cover. This one is 9 inches. So that takes me to the end of the ones that I have sort of pre-flattened and folded and sometimes done pockets on. So I've shown you the fussy cutting. I've shown you the signature making. I've told you about the possibility of using these as signature covers or as even journal covers. Now maybe I'll just end off by showing you what else is in my stash. Now, I suppose that if there was an outcry from people saying, oh, your collection is so darn awesome, I must have some of it myself, I could probably be convinced to put together a package of, you know, pieces. Okay, I've shown you this one, and of course this is really manageable. I think I said this was just over 3 inches. Really manageable and would be so cute even as a journal cover on a little mini booklet. It's got a symmetrical border, so both of those borders could be cut off and leave that little stripe there, so that would take this down to 2 3/16, which would make even a cuter cover. Or let's take this piece, this one is smaller. This could be turned up and become a tiny little you know, tuck spot on a you know, a folio page. So the possibilities are certainly there. I think I might have shown you this one. This is really kind of old-fashioned, but again, we love the florals, so I've shown you the tractors. I don't think I showed you this one, but it's another cool, it's got that sort of metallic gold in there. It's got the swirly black, and I can see this being used in my, you know, sort of the metallic coppery thing that I want to do. I'm collecting stuff for. Oh, I should show you. I think I told you at one point that I finally did put together a journal so that I could demo how some things could be used. So in this one, I used one of the taller papers. Yeah, this one. In fact, you can see I had to cut it down. I cut the border, yeah, top and bottom, so that it fit into this book. I basically used this wallpaper because, again, rural, you know, earth tone colors. I've used it as the signature cover on all 5, is it 5 or 7 signatures? So it protects the papers within it. It shows, in most cases, a different, you know, a different design, because that's the nature of wallpaper. So, okay, you saw the strawberry one. I don't think you saw it. And of course, this one is really papery, so I don't know if this is older. It's not, it doesn't feel vinyl at all. I have no idea if any of these are, I guess some of them are pre-pasted, but unless we wet it, it shouldn't matter. But this is gorgeous. It almost has that watery, watercolor look to it, kind of more painterly look. So that's a cool one. I'm sorry if I'm showing you something you've already seen. But again, this one, possibilities are there with the 2 borders. So this one is 5.5, roughly, in height. Holstein cows. We have friends that used to have a dairy. So of course, Holstein cows are huge milk producers. So at one point, the lady of the house had sort of a Holstein theme going. Well, you know, it's just like when pigs were the thing. So, or roosters. So friends and relatives glom onto this idea that, oh, she collects Holsteins. Oh, she collects pigs. And then you're inundated. Every hostess gift, every birthday gift, every, you know, Christmas thingamajig includes Holsteins or pigs or roosters or whatever in every format imaginable. But anyway, this too will find its way into my farm journal at some point. We never had, our cattle were beef, so we never had a Holstein on the place. But I mean, if you like cows, it doesn't matter what color they are. This too is really nice in that it's got some of those soft pastel-y colors, and a kind of a leaf motif going on. I'm not going to die during this video, so don't worry. More leaves, more possibilities with this. So that, I don't think, yeah, I don't know that I've ever done anything with this one. But because this almost looks like somebody fussy cut it with a wider border, a person could do the same thing on the other side. Or, of course, cut it close and have a leaf design to decorate a page or put on master boards or whatever. This one you've seen. Oh, this is the one that I was trying to find earlier to show you the variety. Okay, so there are 4 basic designs before the pattern starts repeating. These 2 I must have gotten recently. The nice thing about them is they've come on a spool, and I think, you know, obviously that is to protect that edge. So I think this could find its way into my copper colored journal eventually. And I'll just speed up this showing because I've already said what the possibilities are. I don't need to keep repeating myself. Same sort of thing with this kind of a celery or sage green. Hey, sage green. I should use some of this in the hashtag color combo 2023. The week I'm on, which I think I might be a week behind now, the colors are sage and lilac. This one kind of is, it has that crewel embroidery type feel to it. it's vinyl, but it's also kind of an old-fashioned design. And again, that appeals to me. I showed you what's happening here. That is the entire pattern repeat there. I have several of these rolls because, of course, sunflowers are gorgeous. Sunflowers are also very much associated with Ukrainians, and that is my heritage. I mean, and who just doesn't love that color combo of the yellow, the navy blue, and the green? There's just something so compelling about it. And obviously I have fussy cut some sunflowers that are with my Ukrainian journal stuff. You've seen the butterflies. I haven't done anything with this, but you can see too the possibilities. There are butterflies, there are insects, there's a teapot. Okay, so that is the extent of it, the color, or the pattern repeat. There's some text. Each of those flower things could be, you know, maybe I don't like that shape of how they've done it, but I could certainly, you know, tear a little closer to the design and use that to decorate. Oh, I'll just pull this out. You've already seen it. Don't have that much of this one, probably because I love it so much. And I've showed you those two. I have a few more. Let me just, I don't know what you can see or not see anymore, but this one is quite cool. I mean, it's sometimes, now it is a tall one. It is 10¼ inches. Now those coyotes, or I don't know, are they wolves, could be fussy cut around and go into like a nature journal. Sometimes I think we want to create a mood with darker, some darker elements in our journals, but most of us would be very resistant to the idea of printing anything really saturated with black, because of course that just eats through ink cartridges. I hope, that sounded like a bell. I hope you can see that there are these guys that are sort of the focal point, and then these darker images. So, and of course a dark night tree line. So there's that. This one I've also fussy cut around, I think, or created signature pages with. Again, when there is a very clearly defined border, you know what you can do with that. I showed you this one. Now this one, I've got it upside down. Is also almost 10½. But look at this. Does that pot of geraniums not make you feel country kitchenish? So there's the drapery, there are some pots, there's some probably herbs in a pot, in a planter, a bowl of like a colander type thing with lemons in it, the view out the window, a lemon there that could be cut around. Like, lots of possibilities here as well. And lastly, see, this one is still sealed. Let me quickly cut into this. This one, and sometimes that's the challenge when you see them in the store like this. Okay, it says 5 it doesn't really, they don't have pattern names, so you don't really know what you're getting, but I took a chance on it because there's a thimble, and there it says faff, and there's some thread. I wonder if there's a date on these things. Nothing that I can spot, and I don't, or if it's there, it's in some sort of code that I don't know. So sometimes, oh, that's coming off nicely. Sometimes you end up with gluey residue and have to, waste a few inches. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here, this is the pattern repeat from the sewing machine and the quilt all the way across the basket, the scissors, the crochet ball, some books, the sad iron, all the way up to here. So that is gorgeous as well. That's just about 9 inches. So it wouldn't take a lot of trimming, cut those 2 skinny borders off and maybe cheat and cut a bit more off, and it would get down to a height that is sort of traditional for our books. This could even be, wouldn't this be cute and paper? Like, okay, so a traditional cover is 9 by 6. And this is 9, I said, or just over. Cut this down to the right size. These could become end papers, or like end papers in a journal. So that would be cool also. And very, of course, tough because it is vinyl. I'm so glad I did this video. Oh, I have one more to show you. I'm so glad I did this video because it forced me to dig these things out and see the ones that I haven't done anything with, and so I used a ponytail elastic, I think, and I must have re-rolled this one. Look at this. Looky here. Now you can see it's getting a little bit damaged. A matte paper, but those colors, like Columbine. That could be a scabiosa. Geranium. Just unbelievably gorgeous. So it looks like it's not a very big piece. So apparently I re-rolled it to sort of help with the flattening out process. So now it would be easier to cut this. Let's end on that shot. Love it, love it, love it. I hope this has encouraged you to keep your eyes peeled at thrift stores, or who knows, maybe in your basement, to look for wallpaper borders and wallpaper rolls that can certainly be turned into something absolutely spectacular in our journals. I don't know what to do next. I'm all re-excited about this. Anyway, so whether you fussy cut, whether you flatten and turn them into signature covers, signature pages, whether you trim them and have them become page decorations, or, just harvest borders and use those in some way. I'm thinking, it just occurs to me as I'm talking that something that is this big could also be used to make envelopes with. So the envelopes would be nice and sturdy. you wouldn't be having to pick and choose what to use because it's really a little too big. Yeah, cool. Another idea. I'm going to stop here. I think I said at the outset that this is day 15, which means that we got only 85 more to go. And I have to say, I did start out with a bit of a list, thinking, okay, do this, 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 not in any particular order. But I haven't looked at that list in a long time because it almost seems as though when you start doing with a deadline nipping at your heels and with a regularity, that the ideas just reproduce on their own. So I'll check back with me at like day 85 when we're at the approaching the home stretch, and I'm thinking, oh, what am I gonna do now? Do I have to do sock puppets to finish out this thing? Anyway, I'm stopping there. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.